வணக்கம். 10th Standard Science English Medium. Lesson number 14. Transportation in plants and circulation in animals. Book back exercises. Question and answer. Answer in a word or a sentence. Name two-layered protective covering of human heart. Two-layered protective covering of human heart is pericardium. Second question. What is the shape of RBC in human blood? RBCs of human blood are biconcave or disc-shaped. Third question. Why is the color of the blood red? The blood is red because of the presence of red-colored respiratory pigment hemoglobin. Fourth question. Which kind of cells are found in the lymph? White blood cells, that is WBC, are found in the lymph. Name the heart valve associated with the major arteries leaving the ventricles. Semilunar valves are associated with the major arteries leaving the ventricles. Mention the artery which supplies blood to the heart muscle. Coronary artery supplies blood to the heart muscles. Short answer questions. What causes the opening and closing of guard cells of stomata during transpiration? The opening and closing of the stomata is due to the change of turgidity of the guard cells. When turgidity increases within the two guard cells, stoma opens. When the guard cells lose water, it becomes flaccid and the stoma closes. Second question. What is cohesion? The force of attraction between molecules of water is called cohesion. Third question. Trace the pathway followed by water molecules from the time it enters the plant root to the time it escapes into the atmosphere from a leaf. Once the water enters the root hairs, the concentration of water molecules in the root hairs become more than that of the cortex. Thus, water from the root hair moves to the cortical cells by osmosis and then reaches the xylem. From there, the water is transported to the stem and leaves and then to atmosphere by transpiration. Root hair goes to cortical cells, then xylem, then stem, leaves and atmosphere. Fourth question. What would happen to the leaves of a plant that transpires more water than its absorption in the roots? When transpiration exceeds water absorption by the roots, the plant dehydrates. Dehydration affects growth, photosynthesis, etc., which can result in wilting and dying of the plant. Describe the structure and working of the human heart. The heart is enclosed in a double-walled sac called pericardium. The human heart is four-chambered. The two upper thin-walled chambers of the heart are called auricle or atria. The two lower thick-walled chambers are called ventricles. The right atrium receives deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body through main veins, superior vena cava, inferior vena cava and coronary sinus. Pulmonary veins bring oxygenated blood to the left atrium from the lungs. The right and left auricles pump blood into the right and left ventricles respectively. From the right ventricle, arises the pulmonary trunk, which bifurcates to form right and left pulmonary arteries. The left and right pulmonary arteries supply deoxygenator to the lungs of the respective side. The left ventricle gives rise to aorta. The oxygenated blood is supplied by the aorta to various organs of the body. The coronary arteries supply blood to the heart. Sixth question. Why is the circulation in man referred to as double circulation? When the blood circulates twice through the heart in one complete cycle, it is called double circulation. Seventh question. What are heart sounds? How are they produced? The rhythmic closure and opening of the valves cause the sound of the heart. The first sound lap is of longer duration and is produced by the closure of the tricuspid and bicuspid valves after the beginning of the ventricular stole. The second sound tap is of a shorter duration and produced by the closure of semilunar valves at the end of the ventricular systole. Eighth question. What is the importance of valves in the heart? Valves regulate the flow of blood in a single direction and prevent backflow of blood. Ninth question. Who discovered RH factor? Why was it named so? RH factor was discovered by Landsteiner and Weiner in 1940. The RH factor is named after the rhesus monkey, which is the animal where it was first identified. 10th question. How are arteries and veins structurally different from one another? Arteries, veins. First point, arteries. Wall of artery is strong, thick and elastic. Veins. Wall of veins is weak, thin and non-elastic. Arteries. Internal valves are absent. Veins, internal valves are present. 11th question. Why is sinoatrial node called the pacemaker of heart? Sinoatrial SC node acts as the pacemaker of the heart because it is capable of initiating impulse which can stimulate the heart muscles to contract. Differentiate between systematic circulation and pulmonary circulation. Systematic circulation, it occurs between the heart and the entire body. Pulmonary circulation, it occurs between the heart and the lungs. Systematic circulation, it carries oxygenated blood from the heart around the body, then carries the deoxygenated blood from the body back to the heart. Pulmonary circulation, it carries deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs and oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. 13th question. The complete events of cardiac cycle last for 0.8 seconds. What is the timing of each event? Each cardiac cycle or heartbeat takes about 0.8 seconds to complete the cycle. The events during a single cardiac cycle involves first one, strial systole, contraction of auricus 0.1 second, ventricular systole, contraction of ventricles 0.3 second, and the third one, ventricular diastole, relaxation of ventricles 0.4 second. Give reason for the following statements. Minerals cannot be passively absorbed by the roots. Minerals cannot be passively absorbed by the roots because minerals are present in the soil as charged particles which cannot be moved across the cell membranes. The concentration of minerals in the soil is usually lower than the concentration of minerals in the root. Most of the minerals enter the root by active absorption. Second question. Guard cells are responsible for opening and closing of stomata. The opening and closing of the stomata is due to the change in turgidity of the guard cells. When turgidity increases within the two guard cells, stoma opens. When the guard cells lose water, it becomes flaccid and the stoma closes. Third question. The movement of substances in the phloem can be in any direction. Answer. During the growth of a plant, its leaves act as the source of food as they carry out photosynthesis. The phloem conducts the food from the source to the sink, that is the part of the plant requiring or storing food. During spring, this process is reversed as the food stored in the sink is transported towards the growing buds of the plant through the phloem. Thus, the movement of food in the phloem is bidirectional, that is, upward and downward. Fourth question. Minerals in the plants are not lost where the leaf falls. In deciduous plants, minerals like phosphorus, sulfur, nitrogen, and potassium are remobilized from older dying leaves to younger leaves. So, minerals in the plants are not lost when the older leaf falls. Fifth question. The walls of the right ventricle are thicker than the right auricles. Usually, walls of the ventricles are thicker than auricles because the ventricle have to pump out blood with force away from the heart. Sixth question. Mature RBC in mammals do not have cell organelles. Answer. The lack of cell organelles and nucleus in mature RBC is an adaptation to be better equipped for its task. The lack of cell organelles and nucleus accommodates more hemoglobin and allows it to carry more oxygen. Long answer questions. First question. How do plants absorb water? Explain. Water is absorbed along with minerals by the root hairs purely by diffusion. Root hairs are thin-walled, slender extension of epidermal cell that increase the surface area of absorption. Once the water enters the root hairs, the concentration of water molecules in the root hairs become more than that of the cortex. Thus, water from the root hair moves to the cortical cells by osmosis and then reaches the xylem. From there, the water is transported to the stem and leaves. Once water is absorbed by the root hairs, it can move deeper into root layers by two distinct pathways. One, apoplast pathway. The apoplastic movement of water occurs exclusively through the intercellular spaces and the walls of the cells. Apoplastic movement does not involve crossing the cell membrane. This movement is dependent on the gradient. Symplast pathway. In symplastic movement, the water travels through the cells, that is, the cytoplasm. Intercellular movement is through the plasmodesmata. Water enters the cells through the cell membrane. Movement is again down a potential gradient. Second question. What is transpiration? Give the importance of transpiration. Transpiration is the evaporation of water in plants through stomata in the leaves. Importance of transpiration. Creates transpirational pull for transport of water. Supplies water for photosynthesis. Transports minerals from soil to all parts of the plant. Cools the surface of the leaves by evaporation. Keeps the cells turgid, hence maintains their shape. Question number 3. Why are leukocytes classified as granulocytes and agranulocytes? Name each cell and mention its functions. Based on the presence of or absence of granules, leukocytes are classified into two types: granulocytes and agranulocytes. Granulocytes, they contain granules in their cytoplasm. Agranulocytes, granules are not found in the cytoplasm of these cells. First one, types of granulocytes and their functions. Name of granulocytes cells: neutrophils, eosinophils and basophils. Functions: neutrophils and their functions are their numbers are increased during infection and inflammation. Eosinophils function is their number increases during condition of allergy and parasitic infections. It brings about detoxification of toxins. Basophils function, they release chemicals during the process of inflammation. Types of agranulocytes and their functions. Name of agranulocyte cells are lymphocytes and monocytes. Their functions are: lymphocytes, the function is they produce antibodies during bacterial and viral infections. Monocytes, their function is they are the largest of the leukocytes and are amoeboid in shape. They are phagocytic and can engulf bacteria. Fourth question. Differentiate between systole and diastole. Explain the conduction of heartbeat. First one, differences between systole and diastole. Systole, it is the contraction of atrium and ventricles. Diastole, it is the relaxation of atrium and ventricles. Systole, due to systole, the auricles and ventricles push the blood out of heart. Diastole, due to diastole, the auricles are filled with blood. Diastole. Atrial systole lasts about 0.1 seconds. Ventricular systole lasts about 0.3 seconds. Diastole, ventricular diastole lasts about 0.4 seconds. The conduction of heartbeat. Sinoatrial node acts as a pacemaker of the heart because it is capable of initiating impulse which can stimulate the heart muscles to contract. The impulse from the sinoatrial node spreads as a wave of contraction over the right and left atrial wall, pushing the blood through atrioventricular valves into the ventricles. The wave of contraction from SA node reaches the atrioventricular node, which is stimulated to emit an impulse of contraction spreading to the ventricular muscle via the atrioventricular bundle and the Purkinje fibers. Enumerate the functions of blood. Functions of blood: transport of respiratory gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Transport of digested food materials to the different body cells. Transport of hormones, transport of nitrogen, excretory products like ammonia, urea and uric acid. It is involved in protection of the body and defense against diseases. It acts as buffer and also helps in regulation of pH and body temperature. It maintains proper water balance in the body. High order thinking skills. Hot questions. First question: when any dry plant materials is kept in water, they swell up. Name and define the phenomenon involved in this change. Answer: any dry plant material kept in water absorbs water and swells up. This phenomenon is known as imbibition. Imbibition is defined as the uptake of water by substances that do not dissolve in water, so that the process results in swelling of the substance. Second question: why are the walls of the left ventricle thicker than the other chambers of the heart? Answer: the left ventricle has a thicker muscular wall than the other chambers. This is due to the higher pressure needed to pump oxygenated blood through the aorta towards all the parts of the body. Third question: doctors use stethoscope to hear the sound of the heart. Why? Answer: the stethoscope is an instrument used by doctors to listen the sound of the heart. The heart sound is heard by placing the stethoscope on the chest. It is a useful diagnostic tool to identify and localize health problems and diagnose disease. Fourth question: how does the pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein differ in their function when compared to a normal artery and vein? Answer: differences between pulmonary artery and normal artery. Pulmonary artery, it carries blood from heart to lungs. Normal artery, it carries blood from heart to other parts of the body. Pulmonary artery, it carries deoxygenated blood. Normal artery, it carries oxygenated blood. B. Differences between pulmonary vein and normal vein. Pulmonary vein, it carries blood from lungs to heart. Normal vein, it carries blood other parts of the body to the heart. Pulmonary vein, it carries oxygenated blood. Normal vein, it carries deoxygenated blood. Fifth question: transpiration is a necessary evil in plants. Explain. Answer: the loss of excess water in the form of vapor from the aerial parts of the plant is known as transpiration. Transpiration is essential for the movement of water and minerals from the root to the healthy parts of the plant. But excess transpiration may result in drying up of the leaves or wilting and loss of soil water. Hence, it is termed as a necessary evil. Thank you.